Akira Uno is a disgusting tech geek who closes down a shitty game's servers that he had created. He fails to do this mundane task and somehow gets summoned into the body of the demon lord from his own game. To find the truth about the game, he starts to bag cute girls and starts adventuring. However, before any of this, Akira prepares to close the servers of the game called Infinity Game, which he created 15 years ago. He looks at the demon lord that he created in his game and remarks how the demon lord has committed a lot of bloodshed over the years. He says goodbye to the demon lord, but sadly the demon lord is unable to respond from the screen. The clock hits midnight and Akira closes the servers but gets pulled into a white light. He wakes up and is shocked to see the forest around him. He looks at his big boy boots and recalls he was never this classy. He goes to the water and gets stunned because he looks like the demon lord from Infinity Game, Hakuto Kanai. He shouts out his frustrations for the world to hear and looks like he has a few screws loose because he starts checking his weapons the next second. He probably used to rob a Walmart knife section as his coat is loaded with knives. He assumes that he is stuck inside his own game and tries to confirm it by shouting administrator. A panel pops up in front of him and he puts in the password, but the panel tells him the requirements do not meet. Kanai realizes that he is not in the world of the Infinity Game. He rethinks his life decisions while smoking a cigarette and a little blonde girl pops up. He probably thinks that all his wishes came true, but the helpless girl tells him to run away. Kanai tries to imitate the demon lord's personality and starts to talk in a smug and sarcastic tone. An ugly-looking monster pops up and the girl warns Kanai to run away from the demon. The demon tells Kanai that he will eat him, which scares Kanai. The demon doesn't give him any time to breathe and cuts Kanai's face with his long nails. Kanai gets angry as he does skincare and makes a move which makes the knives fly out of his coat. The demon gets pushed into the air before exploding to pieces. He walks toward the girl and she gets scared. She calls him the demon lord and requests him not to eat her because she isn't tasty at all. He tells her that he won't eat her and asks her why she thinks that he is the demon lord. She tells him that since he defeated the demon Grial so easily and doesn't look like an angel, he must be the legendary demon lord. Kanai tells her his name and says that he is not the demon lord. He then asks her for her name and she introduces herself as Aku. He compliments her name while being fully into the role of a creep, asks her if she has ever heard about Japan. She tells him that she hasn't and informs him that they are in the kingdom of holy light where people follow the cherub. She explains that the demon Grial was sealed by the cherub in the past and that the cherub contains 3 holy maidens, the holy knights and the holy church. So much holiness for the ex-demon lord as he grabs his head and wonders why he was called here. He assumes that the original Hakuto Kanai must be the one summoned, but somehow he must have accidentally gotten dragged into Kanai's body. He says the forbidden words as he tells the girl to clean herself up and she innocently asks if she can do that. Bruh. He tells her that he will be waiting further away so she can wash herself properly. The girl plays in the water like it's her first time in water and starts to wonder who Kanai. She looks at him and assumes that he might have asked her to clean up so he can eat her. On the other side, Kanai rejoices as he can finally use his administrator features and opens up a storage. He summons a towel and soap for Aku. He walks out to the forest afterwards and starts looking at the game panel. He talks to himself about using up 5 skill points for the soap and the towel and wonders how he can get more skill points. He assumes that the skill points can be gained in the same way similar to the Infinity Game, which is by killing monsters. Aku finishes cleaning up and Kanai asks her if monsters like Grial appear often. She explains that Grial is very dangerous and a few more of such monsters can easily destroy the kingdom. Kanai gets shocked after realizing his own power and how he is not so worthless after all but rather powerful. He asks her about Grial's den and she tells him that he was sealed in the Wishing Shrine. He asks her to guide him to the shrine and offers to carry her after seeing the wound on her leg. She tries to reject him and explains that she is very dirty as she does disgusting chores, but the open-minded demon lord says that he doesn't mind it. She tells him that the villagers had offered her as a sacrifice to the Grial, and Kanai explains that people can easily become clean after washing themselves, so her dirtiness doesn't matter to him. He writes down notes on a notebook to test if she can understand all the languages, and she reads them all. Kanai asks her about the shrine and she explains that the cherub sealed the Grial using the power of the shrine. She says that the shrine is said to grant wishes and tells Kanai that he might be able to get the power to destroy the world from the shrine. He drops Aku at the gate of the shrine and heads inside. He finds several corpses inside and a statue starts to talk all of a sudden. The statue tells him that he is the demon lord and says that she only has one wish left. He asks her if she was the one who summoned him and she explains that the dead guys on the ground wished for the demon lord to descend. He asks her to send him back, but she says that she cannot do that because it goes against a previous wish. She grants him a ring without any explanation and then turns into sand. Kanai asks Aku to draw a map of the big cities nearby and she tells him that she also wants to go with him. He agrees to take such cute girl with him and she requests him to bring things from her home first. He takes her to the village and hides to see how the people treat her. The villagers mock her and throw rocks at her. Kanai's ring tries to convince him to kill everyone, but he doesn't listen to it and decides to step forward. He stops the villagers, but they continue mocking her, so he burns down one of the houses to scare them. He then grabs Aku and takes off. She asks him why he saved her, and he starts yapping about worth, and they both laugh it all off. In another part of the world, a noble girl named Luna rides along her carriage and tells her rider to keep it steady. She claims that if she has a sore bum, then it will be his fault if she loses against the demon lord. She reaches a town, and a bandit goes to inform his thug lord that Luna has arrived. The ugly-looking thug lord named Wengol holds a mighty name, just as his disgusting face implies. Kunai and Aku spend their time traveling side by side. As it gets late, Kunai whips out some survival items from his inventory like it's a completely normal thing, and also summons a whole house. She becomes overjoyed to see such a nice house, and he explains that the house can block attacks from missiles too. They enter inside and find it equipped with a bath. Kunai tells her to wash up and apologizes for the bath being so small. He then goes to lie down and starts to wonder whether he will be able to get hacks back and use his admin powers if he gains enough skill points. He realizes that the only way he could go back to his world would be to find someone as powerful as the Wishmaster from earlier. Aku then enters his room, and as she finally doesn't stink like a bug, he compliments her. She hears this and crawls into his bed, hoping to sleep alongside him. He informs her that he isn't as old as she thinks, so she shouldn't be so hasty around him. Meanwhile, Wengol sits on a rock as a lookout and finds Aku and Kunai as they travel down the path instead of Luna. Using his ape brain, he overthinks that they are a bait to draw him out, so he decides to let them walk a bit further before launching an attack. Kunai is one step ahead and reveals that he has been aware of their presence all along. He summons a shield to block their arrows and realizes that his assailants are all below level 30. Because of his status, they are unable to even land an attack on him, and the thugs have to emerge. Wengol appears before him, and Kunai thinks he's his old boss. He asks him whether he is his old boss, but Wengol has no idea what the deranged king of foreign words even means to ask. Wengol calls Kunai an old man, which enrages him, and they start to banter with each other like friends from the past. Aku tells him to run away, but he proves his strength by flicking someone back with ease. Suddenly, a bunch of light rays appear which reveal that Luna has arrived at the scene of the crime. Wengol tries to run away in fear, but it's too late as they can't escape her long-range light magic attacks. After tanking her hits, Kunai politely asks her if she wants to apologize to him for attacking a random civilian like him before he can go full sicko mode on her. She refuses and boastfully introduces herself as one of the 3 great magicians. He tells her he doesn't give a crap about her standing, so she becomes frustrated and sends in her guards. None of them land a scratch on him due to his barrier. He then picks her up and announces that it is punishment time. He hits her with an onslaught of spanks with perfect accuracy, and continues to beat her until he is satisfied. For some reason, she lets all of this slide without a single counterattack. Once he finishes punishing her, he heads out alongside Aku and leaves Luna to think about her actions like a school principal, but not before snatching away all her money as well. He arrives at the town shortly after and walks around looking to drown all of Luna's money on something. He considers buying a slave, but the typical meat skewers catch his attention. He buys himself and Aku a skewer, and once they are done eating, they head to the inn to find somewhere to sleep. He tells the clerk that he wants the best room without hesitation and presents a gold coin. The clerk runs into the back to check the coin and re-emerges after some time and presents them with the finest room of their establishment. Kunai decides to check out the view and notices how good the breeze. Aku claims that it can't get nicer than this, but Kunai reminds her that he is the demon lord. He then heads into town to buy Aku some new clothes so she can get rid of the filth she's wearing. He whips out a giant gold coin, and the greedy attendant sends all of his workers to help him out. After this, he asks for an ashtray and the attendant presents his hands. Kunai gets a bit weirded out, so he asks just for a place to sit down, and the attendant offers himself up as a chair. Kunai ignores the freak show extraordinaire, and Aku eventually exits the back room with a new dress on. Kunai notices how cute she is, so he considers buying her the dress but knows it would be better if he got her more clothes. He ends up buying everything the clerk has and then heads to a restaurant. As he eats, people watch over him and overhear that he spent a giant gold coin without a second thought. They wonder if he is some rich noble from another country, unaware that he is an interdimensional alien with superpowers. Aku asks him why he is being so nice to her and offers to pay him back in any way no matter what. While they talk, Luna enters the restaurant and demands that Kunai return her money back. He decides to mediate the situation and asks her to sit down like a good girl and to stop causing a disturbance. She starts to protest, but he reminds her of their previous run-in, so she follows suit. With Luna finally chilled out, he buys everyone in the restaurant a free bottle of wine to make up for the disturbance. He then treats Luna to a meal, and she gets even angrier as he is just spending all of her money. After this, the two head back to the inn, and Aku explains how important Luna is to this world. He doesn't give a rat's bum and picks her up to bring her to the inn. Shortly after, Luna bangs on his door door and tells him that she has nowhere else to stay as he has stolen all of her money. He tells her that she is a jobless, useless bum and asks her to go get a job then, but she tells him she at least needs a place to stay for the night. Hearing this, he hands her back her money, but she continues with her tantrum. She informs him that the room is pretty much her own since he has spent her money to buy it. Meanwhile, a blonde babe marches at full speed towards the town with hopes of putting Luna in her place. Later that night, Luna decides to take a bath alongside Aku. She gloats to her that even though she herself is royalty, she's allowing a peasant girl like Aku to bathe with her. Kanai then begins to inspect the various things he has bought for Aku and starts to place them into his inventory. He explains that previously, a player could only hold 10 items, but he is now able to store an infinite amount of things. The girls then exit the bath, so he tells Luna to come talk to him and asks her about something called the Cherub. Luna explains that long ago Cherub died after sealing the now freshly deceased demon King Grial, and that 2 other similar entities called Offen and Seraph still remain. While they talk, thugs march towards the town, with a blonde babe named Killer Queen in charge who plans to get revenge on Luna. Killer Queen thinks she shouldn't have let Luna walk away unscathed for not sharing information, and also reveals that Luna is her ugly sister. Later that week, Kanai gets all the information about the deities he needs to know about, with the location of the gods not known. Luna says that the only help she can give is by telling him about their daily regular wholesome lives. As he walks, he realizes that the stone statue from before which gave him the ring was the statue of one of the gods he was looking for, so he must go to the capital. He needs to stop being broke to visit the capital, so he heads into a nearby antique shop. He haggles with the shop owner and shows him a used tea bowl from his hometown. The clerk thinks it's a well-made piece and asks how much he wants for it. Kanai reveals he is as penniless as they come, so he doesn't need much, and then asks for 5 giant gold coins. The merchant decides to give it to him even though he has asked for an absurd amount to gain the favor of the new viral hotshot. Kanai then leaves the establishment and thinks that it is very easy to make money in this world. He goes back to the inn but stops midway when he overhears the blonde girl screaming out for Luna. While all of this goes down, some sketchy men looking straight out of a KKK meeting chant around a demonic circle with hopes of bringing illness upon the holy knights. Kanai watches as Killer Queen is seated outside the inn. With a large army, she demands for Luna and the demon lord to appear before her feet. Luna finally arrives at the scene but is too late as her older sister is mad from anger. She tells Luna if she can't defeat the fake demon lord, then she should just go back to sleep. Luna counters her by saying that the demon lord is real, but she is interrupted when the sketchy men from before start sending an attacks towards Killer Queen. With a single slash, she deflects all of the incoming attacks and shows her aura. Kanai recognizes the men's outfit and wonders if they are related to the people he saw in the wishing well. The two sides then enter an all-out no-rules brawl with the Killer Queen and Luna seeming more like the evil ones. As the fight goes on, one of the hooded men whips out his ultimate hidden jutsu and opens a crate full of dark. The cultists take advantage of this and send in a barrage of arrows. One of the grunts sacrifices himself for the Miss Beauty and takes the arrows. The darkness eventually reaches Kanai, and he wonders what to do, but he is told by his ring to just spawn a grenade and blow everyone up. The ring then tries to take control over Kanai's body and paralyzes him on the spot. With the darkness almost about to reach him, Kanai resorts to his last option and uses his Hacker Man administrator powers to gain back control of his body. This summons a huge light and suddenly everyone's attention is on the actual MC. Suddenly, he transforms into a white-haired man with a dragon on his back who asks what is going on. He looks around and finds the two babes. He then starts to taunt the men of the dark cult, so they make the dumbest decision ever and rush to attack him but are no match for his strength. With a single hit, he takes out all the men, and Killer Queen, seeing all of this go down, starts to fall in love with him in the middle of a war. The sketchy men get scared beyond belief due to this new mysterious enemy, and Kanai then unleashes a barrage of hand-to-hand combat skills. The cultists have no choice but to turn tail and run away like losers. As they run away, the white-haired claims that nobody can escape the dragon and unleashes even more attacks towards the cultists this time. He attacks with a full-fledged dragon attack and wipes out the remainder of their forces. Killer Queen is starstruck by this display and his skills. She tries to answer him, but the MC has melted even the Ice Queen's heart and she is too embarrassed to even speak around him. Before he leaves, he tells her he will come back to save her if more trash like the cultists ever try to hurt her again. She asks for his name, so he introduces himself as Zero and makes up a story that he is a dragon from a distant land whose job is to save beautiful lady. Kanai then leaves without saying another word before anyone can catch on to his scam. While this happens, the leader of the cultists is in a back alleyway with his crate of darkness that he summoned early. He wonders how someone so strong could appear before them. Meanwhile, Kanai barfs into a corner acting like a proper drunk. He talks about Zero's actions and asks Aku if she saw him. Aku reveals that she didn't see him firsthand, but she heard great things about him from Luna. She then asks why he is so curious about him, and Kanai embarrassingly reveals that Zero is actually secretly his side character that he feels ashamed to play with. Meanwhile, a white-haired mage named Yukikaze does party tricks on an ice cream, and his companion with a huge personality, Mikan, emerges. Yukikaze asks Mikan if she wants a bite, but Mikan denies her offer and informs her that they need to get back to work already. They head over to the guild board and look at quests until they stumble upon a bounty with Kunai's face printed on it. The bounty is large, and they wonder if he is the real demon lord or not. On the other side, Kunai travels alongside Luna in her carriage. He asks her why he has to come with her, and she replies that he has to act as her bodyguard from now on. She comments that he might as well agree since he likes her but so much. Riding on board in Luna's princess wagon, Kunai tells Luna that she attracts too much attention in her dressing and gives her clothes to change into. She accuses him of having lewd intentions, but then realizes that the clothes seem normal. The two bounty hunters look for sand wolves in the windy desert. One of them, called Yukikaze, comments that it's too hot in the desert. Mikan thinks that if Yukikaze would just shut up, nobody would realize that he is a boy. Mikan comments that sand wolves are ferocious beasts, however, as long as they don't arrive in packs they should be easy to beat. Just then, a pack of sand wolves approach both of them, causing both of them to chicken out and run away like pathetic losers. Meanwhile, Kunai steps out of the carriage, leaving Luna behind to change into the clothes. He lights up a cigarette to smoke and thinks for the 100th time that he needs to build up skill point. Just then, he notices the bounty hunters being chased in his direction by a pack of wolves. Wishing that the wolves would just eat the freak duo, he starts to think and plan how he can defeat so many wolves to get skill point. He tells the girls to stay inside while Daddy Buff deals with the wolves, and then defends himself with a barrier when one wolf jumps on him. The wolf pack rushes at him and he launches his first assault skill attack, which involves throwing magical knives at the wolf. He then makes a second attack with wind to make the wolves go blind, and then finishes off his attacks with a thunderclap move. After finishing off the wolf pack, he tells the wolves to be gone and also tells the bounty hunters to not involve strangers like him in their mess. He then departs in the princess carriage, and Mikan tells Yukikaze that the rumored demon lord seems dangerous and that they should get to the capital soon. Inside the carriage, Aku simps for Kunai in her head, which is her usual norm, while Luna, the desperate attention seeker, asks Kunai whether he has anything to say to her. Kunai tells her that her new clothes look good on her, which makes her happy, and Kunai wonders whether he has now become a typical protagonist who ignores a girl's moves. They stop for a break where Kunai magically summons a rest house for them to reside in. Aku takes Luna inside, and Kunai notices Aku limping as she enters the house. He chit-chats with the peasant carriage driver and even commends his bravery for not running away from the wolves' attack. In the game, Kunai has 8 powerful aids which he can call upon using his skill points, so Kunai wonders who he should summon since he has finally gotten enough points to summon one. Since he cannot defend himself against magic, he decides to call Yu Kirino, who is a powerful sadistic scientist with a nasty thing for boys who can build a weapon to block magic. He summons Yu, and Yu asks him whether it's a new game arena she got summoned into. Kunai realizes that Yu is acting by her own will, so he starts to explain the situation to her. Meanwhile, Luna and Aku enjoy taking a bath when Luna, the privileged brat, asks Aku to request Kunai to gift her the house. Yu tells Kunai that the Nightless City, which was the final area of Infinity Game, is needed to be built in this world, and Kunai thinks that such a dramatic area would make people think that the city is the Demon Lord's castle. Yu and Kunai begin to yap about having a purpose and taking a journey. Kunai tells Yu that he plans to upgrade the base into a field hospital, and then forbids Yu from killing anybody, making an excuse that they need to learn about their current world first. He decides to share all the information with her and thinks to himself that he needs to be careful since she is a mad sadist scientist who will notice if he slips up. Later, he introduces her to Aku and the maiden brat. He tells the both of them to get along with Yu and asks Yu to treat Aku's leg. Yu takes a look at Aku's disgusting wounded leg and morphs her hand into medicinal instrument. Like a dog in heat, she asks Aku whether Aku can dress up as a boy after getting her treatment, but then she turns on her serious mode when Kunai tells her to shut it. She injects Aku's scar with a chemical, and soon she finishes her treatment, even making Aku's scar disappear. Aku gets up on her 2 feet and cannot believe that she won't have to limp anymore. She thanks Yu for saving her from a life of crawling around like a worm. Kunai takes her for a walk and she runs around in disbelief. Kunai tells her that nothing is impossible in his great empire, and that she can now live a normal life since she can walk normally. Aku asks him to pinch her cheek, and he tells her that he's happy for her. On Aku's request, they take a walk again where she holds his hand, and Aku asks him to make a promise that he will never leave her. Kunai tells her to say such lines to her future dude, and Aku thinks that she has already decided on her future guy, even if he is an 80 years old half-bald demon lord. After coming back, Kunai compliments Yu on doing a good job and pats her shoulder. This shocks Yu's lonely self, making her realize that she wants to feel even more praised by her demon lord. Kunai tells her that he will be counting on her, and she decides to stay by his side to feel even more validated. Mikan and Yukikaze discuss about the great Demon Lord in a pub and Yukikaze makes Riz comments since he knows nothing else to do. Mikan reminds him that kunai is really powerful and Yukikaze replies that she shouldn't forget he saved them from the wolves. The Satanist cult's founder Lord Utopia roasts the useless Satanists on getting defeated by the Demon Lord even though they had Hades with them. He tells the Satanists he has heard rumors that the Demon King has been killed by the Demon Lord. He then declares that in order to make Hades more powerful, the Satanists will destroy the holy capital to offer all kinds of good and bad sacrifices to Hades. Kunai and the girls' gang visits Luna's village, which is given to her by the Holy Church as her territory. The village is really run down and Luna tells the others that a church's representative has been overseeing the village since she has no interest in such mundane things. Kunai realizes that judging Luna's uselessness, the church must have given her the most uninterested, least important land while keeping the more important areas to themselves. He confirms this theory with Yu through Mind Link and tells her that such a land would be perfect to take over since the church already considers it useless and since it is a holy maiden territory due to which nobody would interfere. Kunai asks Luna to borrow a part of the land and shares that he plans to run a doctor's office. Yu suggests a spot which makes Kunai comment that he needs a bigger space since he also plans to build a hot springs besides the doctor's office. He thinks to himself using his non-existent brain that he can get money from the people through the hospital and the hot springs both. An ugly-looking church representative welcomes Luna and he starts to panic when he recognizes Kunai from the wanted poster. Luna assures him that she is making the Demon Lord cooperate with her and Kunai tells him that he and Luna are taking over the village now. The representative asks Luna to discuss the situation with the church superiors first and Kunai, who is running for the Feminism Award, comments that since Luna is the lord of the territory, she can decide to run her territory whenever she wants. He asks the representative whether the church is the true lord of the territory rather than Luna, who was appointed, and this makes the representative panic, who denies it instantly. The representative leaves the village and Kunai tells Luna that he will increase her allowance if she cooperates with him like a good girl. In the same village, a race of bunny girls who are farming carrots discuss how their crops are very thin this time and how they need the expensive water crystals for the soil. Luna tells Kunai that the bunny race is considered inferior by the church due to which they are kept in the field. He meets up with the bunnies and the bunny's representative called Kion informs him about the water shortage. He disses Luna for being useless and not helping her people sooner and then asks Kion and her bunny friend Momo to take him to the village well. They all visit the well and Yu informs him that the underground water vein is exhausted, so even digging deeper won't make water appear. Kunai makes some Einstein-level calculations and concludes that he can buy a pulley wheel with a few skill points. In the original Infinity game, the water pulley is a low-level item used to bring up water. He buys a pulley wheel and after installing it, he rolls the water bucket down in the well. The others tell him that he can never bring water up from a dry well and Kunai asks Aku to draw the bucket up. Aku easily pulls up the bucket filled with water, which shocks the others. Kunai tastes the water and checks that the water is regular water rather than healing water. He makes a lame excuse that the pulley wheel is special since it came from his village, due to which it can draw up water from a dry village. He makes a dramatic claim that even wars are waged over such special items such as his pulley, and the bunnies promise to keep the pulley wheel a secret. He then buys and gives the bunnies fertilizer, which makes them really happy and excited. He tells Luna that he is doing everything for his own purpose, and a gutter brain like her suggests that he must want to do lewd things with the bunny. He explains that he plans to make the bunnies work in his hospital and in the hot springs as compensation. He also shares that he plans to leave for the capital soon, and Luna asks him to treat her to a lot of stuff in the capital and to go shopping with her. Meanwhile, the eldest holy maiden called Angel White presides over a meeting with the nobles. The head noble called Dona Dona, who looks like a fat turnip, comments on Luna running her own territory, and the head soldier called Martial Arts tells the nobles that they should be pleased with Luna's progress. Angel White worries that Kunai may be manipulating Luna, and the fatso Dona Dona suggests to discipline Kunai himself. Martial Arts comments that they should trust Luna, and when Dona Dona brings up Kunai's face on the wanted poster, Martial Arts replies that the fire incident was revealed to the public by Dona Dona's man, who could be lying. Martial Arts points out that as per his men's report, Kunai had only burnt one house. They both begin to argue, and Angel White interrupts them by saying that since it's so rare for Luna to act by her own will due to a lack of a working brain, she wants to wait and see what will happen. They both agree and the meeting gets dismissed. Killer Queen barges in, and Angel White starts to rant about how she heard about the Killer Queen's meeting with Luna and the Demon Lord and how somebody reported there was even a dragonkin present. Killer Queen declares that she is in love as if the whole world doesn't know at this point, and Angel White starts to worry about her. her. Killer Queen goes on to rant for 2 useless minutes about how cool Zero is, which nobody gives a crap about. She starts to roll on the ground like a deranged monkey remembering Zero and declares that she wants to find Zero soon and smell him. Angel White cannot comprehend why both her sisters are acting so weird. Meanwhile, Kunai heads to the capital in the princess carriage with his harem. 2 S-ranked adventurers discuss the infamous Dragonkin in a bar, and one of them, called Mink, who looks like a third-class cosplayer, comments that the Dragonkin sounds like a fairy tale. The bar owner gives a poster of the demon lord to the pair and tells them to focus their depraved attention on him instead. Mink, after looking at the demon lord, remarks that she feels the waves of destiny gushing within her, and then asks her comrade Organ to make a blood oath with her, inciting some lame excuse that no one cares to hear. Yukikaze and Mikan listen in on their conversation, and Mikan comments that the S-ranked adventurers may be able to deal with the demon lord. Luna takes the group to a restaurant to celebrate Aku's healed leg. They all congratulate Aku on not being a disabled wuss anymore and even make a toast to her health. Afterwards, Kunai summons another item and asks one of the staff to bring it to his table. He tells Aku that he has a gift for her, and the staff man unveils a strawberry tart. Yu cuts the cake, and as each girl takes a bite, they all gush over the taste. A rich fatso lady approaches the group and apologizes for interrupting their fun. Kunai introduces himself and even invites her to sit down with them. The fatso, called Shrimp-Free Butterfly, seems to recognize the demon lord already, making Kunai think that she must be a very shrewd woman. He asks Luna about Shrimp-Free through Mind Link, and Luna starts to freak out on not knowing how Kunai is talking in her mind. She then tells Kunai that Shrimp-Free is a very influential noble who is the center figure for all the wives of nobility and who has a lot of connection. Kunai decides to make Shrimp-Free his ally by gaining her trust and by using his charm, which has so far worked on the younger girls only. Shrimp-Free joins the group and congratulates Aku on her healed injury. When Aku calls the city pretty, Shrimp-Free calls Aku very cute and honest. She asks Kunai about his opinion on the city, and he starts to compliment the city. He tells her that he wants to convert all the poor desolated areas into heaven, just like how the city is, and even shows off that if he were on top of the kingdom, he could make this idea into a reality in a few years. He then changes his marketing strategy and tells Shrimp-Free that he has a different heaven he wants to introduce to her, and then lays down a soap in front of her. Luna, acting like a classic sales girl, begins to boast about the soap's sparkling qualities, and Shrimp-Free notices that all the girls look all polished and shiny. She decides to give the soap a try later, and Kunai, changing his marketing strategy once again, starts sharing information about his hot springs project. He spills so much details that Shrimp-Free asks him to let her come to the hot springs, and even tells Luna not to spill this secret to her sister Oysterfree. The ground starts to shake, and it is announced that the Satanists have attacked, so Kunai thinks it's finally time to show off his skills by defeating the clowns once again. He realizes that the attack is a very large-scale synchronized attack on the city, so he tells Yu to protect the citizen. He tells Luna to stay back, making an excuse that the Satanists may be targeting her, and tells Aku to enjoy her meal, not knowing her meal is standing in front of her. He then jumps to action and mind links with Yu to coordinate with her. When he tells her that he is counting on her, she stutters like a 9-year-old girl with a crush. Turning into a ninja, he jumps from one house to another and rushes to teach the Satanists a lesson. Meanwhile, Mikan and Yukikaze engage in battle with the Satanists as well. Yukikaze uses ice magic to land an attack, and the Satanists begin to surround them in high numbers. Yukikaze comments that he does not plan to die a cheery boy. Just then, as a Satanist jumps on both of them to attack, but Kunai, the protector of everyone Cherry, saves them. He jumps in the middle of the Satanists and tells them to kneel before him. He then summons a huge hammer and throws it on them, which makes him win. One of the defeated Satanists uses his blood to summon a demon in exchange for his worthless life, and an ugly-looking demon appears. The demon, called Carnival, uses magic to cast a barrier around the city to trap and close off the area so that nobody is able to get out. He starts spilling crap about being majestic and killing everybody, so Kunai throws a stone at him to shut his trap. Kunai calls him an ugly-looking swine with hideous clothing and disses him so badly that Carnival takes the bait and rushes towards him instantly. However, he senses a strong aura coming from Kunai, which makes him stop in his tracks. Kunai begins to pump himself up by upgrading his fighting skill to make him more powerful, and then he tells Carnival that he is the second demon he has ever met. He tells him he killed the first demon, and this makes Carnival crap his pants even more as he senses Kunai slowly getting even more and more powerful. Carnival starts begging Kunai to let him go, and Kunai rushes at him to attack him. He tells Carnival that since he has killed so many people, he should also learn how it feels to die once. He then throws the ugly fat demon into the sky and then shoots a Kamehameha attack at him, which makes the demon explode in the sky. The barrier around the city disappears, and the city people gather around Kunai to celebrate his victory. They recognize him from his ugly-looking posters and thank him for saving the city. Yukikaze also finally approaches Kunai and asks him his name. The city people clap to praise Kunai, and Mikan warns Yukikaze that Kunai must be manipulating him. Mikan and Yukikaze both begin to bicker like children while Kunai just observes their argument. In the Satanist assembly hall, Utopia starts to go off on another lowly girl girl called Tron, saying that the Satanists unleashed the demon too early. He tells her to tell the others to use the other two at the holy castle, and then calling her a mixed blood failure, he tells her to leave. Back in the restaurant, a clown called Carmia entertains the nobles to calm them down as if they are a bunch of toddlers. He thinks that Luna is a fool for coming without an escort, and then recalls his plan to kill Luna on the Satanists' orders. Carmia approaches Luna and the group, and you ask him whether she can show him a magic trick too. She casually amputates both the arms of Carmia and then sticks them back on the wrong sides. She apologizes for the trouble and then puts his arms back in their right spot. She then whispers in his ear that he should use a better trick than attempting to poison them, and threatens him that she will slice him up alive if he shows his ugly worm face ever again. Outside, Killer Queen rushes into the battle with martial arts and another soldier, Mount Fuji. They fight with the undead and even get rid of a duo of low-level demon sisters in no time. Meanwhile, Mink also fights with the Satanists and rains down an attack on them, which defeats them. She saves the people who praise her despite her weird, whacked-up behavior. The Satanists gather in front of the holy castle, and one of them reports to the group that the demon lord has defeated the other group. In order to summon another demon, they all sacrifice themselves and die just as the Prince of Darkness, Aluit, appears. Aluit notices a divine barrier around the holy castle, which he finds unpleasant, and Angel White steps out in the castle's balcony. She notices a higher-level demon's presence, so she extends the divine barrier, and as a result, the lower demons start to fall down. Killer Queen and Mountain Fuji spot Aluit in the sky, and Mountain Fuji, who seems to be in a hurry to dig his own grave, rushes towards Aluit to attack him. Aluit shoots him with laser, which throws him backwards, though he ends up surviving. Aluit then releases a killing field magic which removes Angel White's barrier, so Angel White tries once more and generates a divine barrier, which she barely manages to hold around the holy castle. Killer Queen takes Mountain Fuji's hammer, and just then Mink also arrives on the scene. Killer Queen jumps on Aluit and manages to throw him to the ground. They both begin to fight on the ground, where Aluit also kicks away Mink, who can't seem to control her talents. Aluit throws a darkness beam at Killer Queen, which breaks her barrier and hurts her and also blocks Mink's attack. Above them, Tron releases Hades, which ends up engulfing both the girls, so Aluit takes this opportunity and kicks away Killer Queen and Mink both. He then attacks them with a darkness beam, so the both of them defend themselves with a barrier. But the beam breaks the barrier and hurts them. Killer Queen tells Angel White to maintain the barrier even if she herself is hurt. Kunai watches the flopped movie scene unfold from afar while Aluit steps on Killer Queen to feast on her. To stop Aluit from ruining his plans, Kunai summons Zero, and Killer Queen starts to whine on seeing him. Aluit and Zero face each other, and when Aluit tries to punch Zero, Zero kicks him so hard that Aluit forgets his species. He kicks him around like a waste of space garbage bag and throws him towards the divine barrier, which electrocutes him. Aluit throws the darkness beam at him, which Zero easily defends. Sensing that he's about to get butchered, he flies towards Tron and pierces her body to suck her blood so that he can become more powerful. He then discards Tron on the ground. Tron recalls how she was freezing in the streets as a child, and a Satanist approached her just as she was wondering about her purpose in life. Just then, Zero wakes her up by giving her a prized calorie bar item to recover her wound. He tells her to smile, which she finds difficult to do. Aluit, watching this, becomes shocked to witness Zero's healing powers. He thinks Zero must belong to a special dragon race and vows to kill him with all of his black heart and soul. He launches a magic attack which makes him transform into Naruto's nine-tailed demon fox. The demon fox approaches them, which scares Tron, but Zero tells her to smile again since smiling people are stronger than anyone else. The demon fox attacks him and he punches the fox with his bare fist. He uses all of his powers and turns the fox into ashes, defeating it. The girls swoon at his victory while Killer Queen starts to simp over Zero once again, and the demon's barrier disappears. After saving the city people cheer after Zero. Tron also hugs him, which he finds funny, and then Killer Queen also hugs him from behind, which makes him feel embarrassed, and he yells at her to let go. Kunai meets up with the world's most useless maiden, Angel White, who asks him whether he is the actual demon lord and also asks him about his involvement with Luna. He tells her that he has been able to build a wonderful relationship with Luna, and Angel White finds this hard to believe since she knows Luna is a selfish loser. When she asks him about his plans for the city, he replies that she should focus on his actions rather than what is said about him, which makes her think that maybe he is planning an invasion on the city. Kunai then asks her whether he can use the library to get information on Seraph, and again she thinks that maybe he's going to use information on Seraph to kill her, but she still allows him. Later in the library, Kunai wonders where the angels have disappeared to, since demons also still exist in this world. He decides to research later since he has access to the library now. On Aku's request, he reads her a storybook in which an abandoned dog conquers a dungeon and gains many rewards and jewels. Kunai calls it a stupid story, but then asks the library staff whether such dungeons actually exist in the world. The library staff tells him that adventurers find rare items in the dungeons from time to time, so he starts to plan something. Once outside, he tells Aku to go back to the inn without him and then asks Tron, who has been stalking him, to come out. Tron tells Kunai that she knows he is Zero since they both have the same colors and that she can see everything in colors and emotion. After such a pathetic statement, she asks Kunai to let her meet Zero, and Kunai tells her that if she listens to him and works for him, he will then let her meet Zero. She agrees to work for him, and so Kunai gets another loli into his group. Kunai takes Tron to meet the others, and Luna comments that there is a devil inside Tron. When Kunai explains that he needs Tron to work in the hot springs, Luna replies that as a holy maiden it's absurd for her to work with a devilkin. Kunai gets his smooth tongue to work and tells Luna that as a holy maiden who wishes to lead her people, she should have the ability to deal with all sort of people, and that if her village flourishes, her sister's opinion of her will also change. Using his new skill points, he teleports everybody to Luna's village, which surprises Luna. He gets welcomed by the bunnies there, and getting to work, he summons a base. He then upgrades the base into a hospital building using a rare creation item first aid kit. He and Yu then take a walk around the hospital, which is run on electricity even though there's no electricity in the game. When Yu asks him how they are going to charge their parents, he explains that they are going to assign values to coins as per their own Japanese yen system. He then tells Yu to go easy on the poor people by charging them less and to loot the nobles all she wants to make them bankrupt. She comments that he seems to be following the opposite strategy from their previous great empire, and he replies that going down the same path is very boring. She tells him that she was thinking the same thing, and Kunai realizes that Yu somehow seems cute. He then uses another rare item creation to summon Fourth Hot Springs Resort, which comprises of a 3-floored base containing all kinds of baths, saunas, dining room, and even accommodation lodging on the top 2 floors. He notices the 2 bunnies he helped last time and thinks that he can use them as receptionists since they seem stylish. He tells both the bunnies to gather all the villagers once they are done with their work and explains that it is important for the villagers to experience what is going to be offered to the customers soon. When the bunnies don't understand what he is yapping about, he tells them that he is talking about taking a bath in the resort, and the bunnies tell him that bathing is considered a luxury reserved for the nobles only. Later, Kunai thinks to himself that despite all the luxurious facilities in the resort, the quality and work of its employees will influence how successful the resort actually. He recalls that within his 8 aides, there was one genius who was quick at mastering whatever was thrown at him, always producing better results than everybody else. The genius aide also has a sister complex so he can watch over the kids, and being a gun specialist he also excelled at combat power so he could also watch over the village in Kunai's absence. He then uses his administrative privileges to summon his aide Asami Tahara, who looks more like a rung-up homeless thug rather than a 5-star all-qualities super aide. When Tahara wakes up, he is stunned by the surroundings and asks Kunai what has happened. Kunai debriefs him and asks him to follow him around. After telling him everything that has gone down, Tahara wonders if this is some new kind of game or whatnot. Kunai tells him this is an entirely new world completely unlike the game he had previously lived in. Strangely, he has a normal reaction to it and asks if this is some fantasy world that he used to live in. Although he is a bit slow thanks to his chain-smoking habits, he knows that he needs to adapt to this new world. Kunai tells him that Yu is with them too, so he begins tweaking out and questions why he would summon such a wacko. He then asks one last question whether their previous kingdom still exists in this world, and Kunai informs him that it is in fact gone, which weirdly makes Tahara overjoyed. Tahara then asks what Kunai plans on doing in this world, so Kunai shares his thoughts that he plans on doing the opposite of what he did previously and work his butt off to help this world. Moreover, as Tahara has a serious sister complex, Kunai is convinced that if he introduces Tahara to his lowly gang, he will become weirdly fond of them. To help Tahara understand his motives, he tells him all of his plans about making money and helping out the noble. Tahara's duty is to train the residents of the village and to manage the survival of the village. Kunai proposes that Tahara should go meet with Yu, but he protests this decision and claims that he values his life. As he says this, Yu appears before him like a nightmare scenario followed by the other lowly harem. They ask Tahara if he is Kunai's lackey and start to treat him like another grunt. When things get settled, Kunai heads outside with the intent of making some money after contemplating all night and heads over to the antique shop owner. Kunai can't stop himself from scamming the poor fella and shows him some old machine that he claims to be an antique piece. The item plays a nice tune, which stuns the merchant who thinks it's another worldly masterpiece. He's willing to purchase it from him but knows it's something he can't name the price on. He asks Kunai how much he wants, but this time, Kunai puts the ball in his court and asks him to appraise the item himself. Because music can only be played when an instrument is around in this world, he thinks it's something that he surely can't pass up on. The merchant eventually decides upon 15 gold coins, since if he lowballs him then it will only cause him future problem. With this new wealth in his pocket, Kanai heads into the dress shop and commissions to produce the beautiful combination of 20 bunny suits and tuxedos. When he inspects the bunny suit, he realizes how lewd it is and wonders like a certified freak if he should make some extra ones for his own workers. Kanai then whips out some gold coins to pay for this and tells the shopkeeper that the money is only the down payment. He asks him if he can get it done quickly, and the worker tells him he will get it done as soon as possible. Since the amount of money is so huge, they rush to get the work done. Kanai doesn't stop with his shenanigans here and goes around the town where he spends all of his money lavishly. Only 3 gold coins remain after he's done, and he wonders what to do next. He eventually decides to spend it on a night in the nicest hotel. That night, he switches to his other form, Zero, in order to wander around town as a hero. He thinks of a backstory for him since he can't continue to run off in a hurry every time he transforms in unexpected situation. He also wishes to face a strong enemy to show that his personality as a dragon isn't just for show and that Zero is in fact. Meanwhile, Tahara takes charge of training the young rabbit people and explains to them how to clean the floors. He teaches them in precise detail how it is all done, making one think that he must have at least been one of the top 10 janitors in the kingdom before. He enters the women's side of the bath and notices some workers with the outfits that he had ordered. At first, he had thought they would look stupid, but then he warms up to the idea. The girls complain that the outfits are skimpy, but he reminds them that they can earn lots of money if they throw it back while wearing these fit. He then asks them to practice their greetings. A week later, after opening the hot springs, he gets the fatso shrimp-free to come by and try out the bath. She is surprisingly impressed and claims it's much nicer than what she heard about. Kanai explains that it's only the start and tells her that he plans to transform this entire area to be the best land in the entire kingdom. Also inside of the carriage happens to be an old man who introduces himself as Sambo, who is on his last breath. The fatso tells Kanai that she thought it would be nice for her to show him around here. Kanai asks if his condition is bad and questions how badly his eyes are injured. Sambo tells him that he got this injury as he took on a magical beast while serving under the Commander Arts. Hearing this, Kanai guides him to the hospital and claims that his doctor can fully heal his eyes. The elephant apologizes for this in advance as she thinks it is only causing him more trouble. Once they arrive at the hospital, Kanai urges Sambo to sit down on the bed and explains that you will take care of him, with his eyes being surrounded by venom. He apologizes for looking like burnt fries, but despite this, Yu continues to help him. She explains that she can easily treat something of this level because she has the ultimate healing spell. She knows it would be too suspicious to just heal him in an instant, so she drops some medicine in his eyes. He instantly gets healed and starts to burst out crying in joy. He looks around and asks the Big Eater how she got so big, which is a very popular question at this point. He roasts the hell out of her and claims that she is twice the size from last time he saw her. With this done, he rushes out of the hospital with hopes of getting back to work. Shrimp-free then decides to pay for the troubles and gives Yu one of the highest level coins there is. The coin is worth 100 giant gold coins and is essentially enough money to live off for the rest of one's life. In a flashback from 10 years ago, Luna runs alongside her friend called Eagle, who is a filthy kid. Luna is a broke kid who has no money or a job and only has 1 copper coin to her name. She resolves that one day she will eat at the big mansion like the pig she is, but Eagle tramples her childish dreams and says that it is a far-fetched dream as he reminds her of their standing. While they talk, a noble who lives within the mansion makes an exit and asks Luna what she is doing in front of his property. He tells her to leave and claims that his appetite is being ruined by how filthy the 2 of the kids are. This is her canon moment, and she promises to become a holy maiden in order to show the people her actual potential. They call her trash, but when she exerts her latent powers in front of them, they instantly become scared by her presence. From this day forward, she vows to grind like a capitalist slave and put in more hours than anyone else. A few years after this, she ends up becoming a full-fledged maiden and is tasked with working at the rabbit village. Although the church thinks of this appointment as a punishment for Luna, she actually likes the place as it reminds her of Eagle. Back in the present, as she daydreams of her past, she overhears the demon lord's voice. He demands her poor slave that she come and prepare everything for him with the fat lady by his side, since she promised that everything would be set up and ready for her. Kanai then enters the hot spring and shows the fatso around, hoping she will like the place, with Luna joining them to help show her around. Shrimp-free begins to realize that there's a level to this game and it isn't just some random building. First, they start with the public bath and then move forward to check out all of the various baths. As she washes herself, she has one of the hot bunny girls come and wash her back for her, which shows that it's more than just a bath. On top of this, another hot bunny girl emerges and starts to wash her hair for her. The quality of service leaves her stunned and she feels as if she is in heaven. She claims that this much is enough to make a hippo like her happy, but Luna claims that it's her lucky day off from all the eating, and that there are many more things left left for her to see. She rushes to the next location, where they soak in another type of bath. Shrimpfree wonders what this place is, only to learn that it makes her skin silky smooth and healthy like a scene out of a soap commercial. They then head into the herbal bath that treats all of their injuries by providing medical herbs. After this, they go to the hot spring where she thinks that Luna must be in love with the demon lord since she is putting in so much effort into helping him. Luna tries to deny it, but the fatso sees right through her tsundere act and tells her that if she wants a chance with him, she should enjoy herself as well. The two then head into the salt sauna, where they first need to build up a sweat. Following this, they put the salt on their body and wash it off, giving yet another useless effect. Luna claims that it makes all of their excess skin fall off and replaces the old skin with new skin. As the hippo does this, she begins to glitch out and becomes a bit too excited by the effect. While this happens, Tahara draws the map of the village until he is interrupted by Yu, who asks him whether he is okay with the locations of everything. As they talk, Tahara asks her how she got so lucky to be summoned even before him, knowing she is off her rocker. He asks her if she has any new interesting hobbies like human experimentation since she used to be in love with little boys. She explains that recently, the only thing that is on her mind is helping Kanai. Yu notices all the new changes Tahara is drawing up on the map and wonders if they can really construct all of these new structures, as he plans to have no racism and wants to make a business section, commoner section, and even a bunny section. It seems he has everything planned out perfectly. As they talk, Yu proposes that he asked for Shrimpfree's help because she had a big hand in the construction of the capital's areas. The thoughtful King Tahara instantly protests this decision and says that if he gets help from the noble cow, then things will turn into a segregated area between commoners and nobles. He claims that it would be best to just let him do things in his own style, and she agrees. Later that day, when Yu is tasked with checking up on Kanai, he begins to question the reason behind these checkups. He says that he is perfectly fine even though he looks as old as the dinosaurs, but Yu protests this and tries to inappropriately much as she can, but he demands her to leave. She uses her useless plot to charm him, but this only makes him want to leave even more. That night, he finally decides to enjoy his bath, as it is the first time he gets to bear the fruits of his efforts, but he bears bad luck instead when Tron enters the bath after him, offering to help him wash his back. He demands her to leave and thinks that the others will think of him as a creep like it isn't already a fact. After these events, he heads back to his room and tries to watch TV, but as expected it doesn't work. He notes that some things work the same as before when it was a game, but certain other things like automatic food doesn't work. After taking a bath, Aku again goes to sleep beside Kanai. Luna later joins them as well while making excuses just to sleep beside Daddy Kanai. The next morning, Kanai wakes up early in order to leave the girls behind so he can have some time for his old half-bald self. He writes his lowly gang a letter to not chase him and then leaves for the capital. Upon arriving, he is noticed by various people who comment about how handsome he is. A few steps behind him, Yukikaze and Mikan wander around wishing that they would run into him again. Just then, Yukikaze notices Kanai in front of him, so he rushes to his side with Kanai not aware that he is a crossdresser. He treats him with respect, and Mikan then rushes up to them as well and acts like she has been a long-time friend of Kanai. Kanai tells them that he has come to get some information from the Adventurers Guild with high hopes of finding some nearby dungeons. Yukikaze tells him that they won't be of help to him, so Kanai should just employ him for help. Mikan of course protests this decision and claims that they can't just help the demon lord like that. Yukikaze then offers to buy him some lunch, but Kanai denies his request and claims he doesn't want anyone meddling in his business today. As Kanai talks with him, he notices his silky smooth skin and gets completely fooled by them. Yukikaze then offers to buy him a drink instead, so he agrees considering it's been a while since he has gotten drunk. Yukikaze grabs his hand to show him the way, but he protests yet again for some reason. He eventually folds due to Yukikaze's advances towards him and decides to just put up with it for now, even though he knows he secretly enjoys it. He decides to bear with Yukikaze just until he can get to the bar. The owner welcomes the regular customers, but is stunned to see the demon lord with them as well. Everyone else notices Kanai and recognizing him as the demon lord. They asks to buy him a beer as a thank you for saving the capital many times. After some time, they find a seat and get some drinks while the bartender informs Kanai about the special offer only for the demon lord that he can chug up as much as he wants. Kanai decides that it's finally time he starts getting his drink on, but before he can start, Yukikaze sits on his lap and tells him he will help him drink his beer. Kanai instantly denies this request and wishes only to have some peace. Just as he takes his first sip, Yukikaze, acting like a dog, steals it and begins drinking it while making jokes. Kanai wonders what Yukikaze's deal is and wishes that he would just act normal around him. Following this, the bartender brings them some food on the house and hopes for Kanai to enjoy it. Kanai tells her that the food is good compared to the trash he had eaten in another part of the town. As he tries to eat, Yukikaze steals it and starts to eat it as well, making more weird comments. Mikan tries to explain that it's just Yukikaze's way of talking and makes him realize he is a total sicko pervert. He decides to change the topic and begins to talk more about the dungeons, as information about them was the only reason Kunai followed them in the first place. Mikan explains about how adventures work and what they do in order to make money. She explains that dungeons usually get taken out as soon as they emerge due to their popularity, and it's difficult to get anything good out of them as the market is saturated. On top of this, they explain rankings to him, and Kunai realizes that the system works similar to how pro sports players are managed, with guilds offering more money and benefits to higher ranked adventurers, and that it's a lot like signing a contract to whoever gives the best offer. After finishing his cigarette, he attempts to leave. Angel White is convinced that Luna is kidnapped in the Demon Lord's area, and she thinks that she has no other option but to ask for the goddess Seraph's help. After her prayer, she teleports to Luna's village, but to her surprise, everything seems normal with tons of people working around the clock and building huge places while working honestly. She wonders what is going on, but is then stopped by Tahara, who tells her that she needs to get her bum to work. He asks what kind of person shows up to work dressed up like a cosplay princess and reminds her they still have lots of work to do. She accepts his demands without speaking up and begins to mine the crystals as per his instructions. She wonders how she even got in such a situation and why she is even helping them in the first place. She is interrupted by Luna, who asks her what she is doing. Angel White tells Luna that Luna is being tricked by the Demon Lord and demands that she heads back to the capital with her, but Luna explains that life couldn't be better for her in her village. This makes Angel White overthink that she's being attacked so badly that her mind has become corrupted, not knowing that Luna has no brain. She asks Luna how they are even able to build all of this megastructure in the first place, as she knows it would cost a fortune. While they talk, Tron appears before them and tells Luna to get back to work already. The two of them rush off, leaving Angel White to be left with the bunnies, and the bunny girls tell her that they will give her a tour of the area. They take her to the bath and explain all of the advantages surrounding the bath like professional salesmen. She follows suit and gets changed into the appropriate clothing for a bath. She enters the men's side by total mistake and is unaware of what awaits her. She gets undressed for her bath and gets in, while noticing all of the various types of baths they have built. Kunai takes a bath and just then sees Angel White coming towards him. She asks him if he was waiting to ambush her, and Kunai replies that only kids and fools cause trouble in the bath. Kunai remains calm on the outside, but he is freaking out on the inside because he doesn't want Angel White to scream, otherwise his image will be ruined. He takes a good look at her body and wonders if it is a honey trap. He thinks that someone with such a high position will not agree to being clapped, so he dismisses his assumption. He then tells her that he is willing to listen to what she has to say and throws her a towel, telling her that she should wear it first because her body is hard to look at. She finally realizes that he already got a good look at the goodies, and walking into the bath, she misunderstands that Kunai doesn't find her worthy of looking at. He asks her to state her business, and she gets her twisted in a bunch after looking at his body. Angel White, being a creep, thinks that it's the first time she has seen a man in her life. She lies to Kunai on his face that seeing him does not affect her at all. In Top Gun Sigma, Kunai tells her that it is a good thing since they can have a calm conversation. She asks him about his purpose in deceiving Shrimpfree, and he replies that Luna and Shrimpfree are staying in the village by their own will, and so he is not forcing anybody to do anything. She walks towards him in agitation, and throwing in front of his face, she tells him to give her a good reason that she can believe in. Kunai tells her to stay away since her body is very stimulating to him, and this embarrasses her, so she asks him how much longer he is planning to insult her by saying such things. He replies that he is only speaking the truth, which frustrates her even more. He then asks her to submerge herself in the hot springs up to her shoulders, at least to understand Shrimpfree better. She steps back and reluctantly lowers herself in the water. Soon she starts to make happy noises like a professional OnlyFans girl, and even exclaims that it's her first time feeling like this, which is not a very holy maiden thing for her to say. Kunai flips on his salesman persona and tells her that the outdoor bath helps with exhaustion, gives strength, and helps set people free from everyday life. He then offers her something to drink, which she hesitates to accept, so he drops a truth bomb that her loser behavior is the reason behind the land's bad conditions. She becomes defensive, saying he has no right to say such a thing, and comments that he cannot poison her even if he wants to. Making use of her useless powers, she makes a move called Angel's Spoon to scan the drink for poison, and Kunai uses this opportunity to make a sassy comment that the only poison in the country are the people running it, since they do not care about their people and make no effort to help the weak. Angel White is unable to talk back, so she takes the drink from Kunai, and Kunai thinks about how Angel White resembles an angel. She takes a sip, which surprises her since it's alcohol, which is summoned especially by Kunai. He takes the cup from her and takes a sip as well, causing Angel White to get embarrassed since she considers such an action an indirect kiss. Kunai roasts her that she must be a child if she thinks about such things, and she gets triggered, so she gets up and yells by asking him whether it is a bad thing that she is a child. Kunai replies that it's not a bad thing since women who act innocent are typically well-liked. She doesn't take the bait and continues to whine even more that Kunai is making fun of her. He tells her that he is not making fun of her. Rather, he finds it impressive that she is so hard-headed. She continues to whine, so Kunai summons a halo. He gives it to her as a token for not tainting the holy maiden name, which is a joke at this point. The halo settles on Angel White's head and she questions why a demon lord would have an angel's halo. Afterwards, Angel White comes out of the resort still wearing the angel halo, which Kunai thinks suits her. He asks her how she came to the resort and she lies that she came by herself since she cannot reveal anything about Seraph's miracle. He tells her that he will take her to the holy castle, and then while grabbing her waist he makes some smooth comments about leaving everything to him and trusting him. He teleports them both to the holy castle gate, and Angel White thinks that his teleportation resembles Seraph's bound. Believing that Kunai's powers must be a miracle which must have come from the act of an angel, she asks him who he really is. He gives another smooth answer that goes over everybody's head, and then he tells her to not reveal anything to anyone. Angel White thinks that chaos will spread if it gets leaked that somebody can bestow halos on people and use Seraph's miracle. She asks him again who he is, and he tells her that he is someone who wants her cooperation in the future and wants to learn more about Seraph. When she asks him why he wants to learn about Seraph, he tells her that he was called to this world by Often, which shocks Angel White. She realizes that it all makes sense, including why Luna is so attached to Kunai and why Kunai can use miracles like Seraph. She asks him whether he intends to oppose Seraph, and he replies that he only wants to get some information from her. He then tells her that the angel's halo looks good on a creep like her and teleports himself back to the village. She thinks that any person who made such a halo cannot be an evil person and then vows to revert back Kunai into an angel one day. Later, Aku rushes towards Kunai and sits on his lap. Kunai warns her that she should be cautious of the men around her in future, and she replies that she only trusts in Kunai and no other man. Aku asks him whether he's going on a trip to the north the next day, and he reminds her that he has instant teleportation to return back whenever he wants. He also tells her he will bring souvenirs for her and that she should look forward to his coming back. She tells him to get back home safe, and then they are joined by Luna and Tron. Kunai tells Luna that he took her sister back to the holy castle, and soon they all retired to go to sleep. At night, Kunai is unable to sleep as his lowly gang surrounds him. The next day, Kunai leaves Yu in charge of the hospital and tells Tahara that the village is in his hands. He thinks to himself that he needs to get stronger since he has more lowlies that he wants to protect now, and that he somehow needs to overcome his weakness against magic so that it's never used against him in the future. He tells Tahara to erase anyone who comes to harm the village. He then leaves the village in Mikan and Yukikazu's carriage. Tahara tells Yu that he remembers the day he first met Kunai and how he would have died if he had not accepted Kunai's offer to join him. Kunai then begins his journey to the city of Rookie to get to the prison dungeon. Will Kunai continue to recruit more girls into his harem and find the truth about his arrival in the game? Comment your thoughts below and subscribe to the channel for more content.